Have you ever felt the sound of silence when it carries the weight of 1,000 unspoken words? I'm not talking about the silence of peace, of a quiet Sunday morning. I'm talking about that awkward, dense silence that happens at a dinner table when everyone knows there's a problem, but no one has the courage to talk about it. Until someone finally does. It was a Thursday, November. The weather outside was rainy, that kind of fine drizzle that turns everything gray, mirroring exactly how I felt inside. I was heading to my parents' house. Family dinner. A tradition that, for most people, is synonymous with comfort, but for me, over the last 2 years, had become a weekly session of psychological torture. I stopped the car in front of the house. My car, or what was left of it. An old model with a dented bumper and an engine noise that I turned up the radio to ignore. I sat there, hands on the steering wheel, for about 10 minutes, just gathering the courage to turn off the ignition and go inside. Why was I afraid? Because I knew what was waiting for me in there. I was the black sheep, not because I was a rebel, or did drugs, or had committed crimes. No, I was the black sheep because I was the broke dreamer. In my family, success had a very clear script. College, a government job or a position at a multinational corporation, a 30-year mortgage, a brand new car in the garage, and vacations in January. Me. I had dropped out of law school in my final year. I had turned down a stable job my uncle had lined up. I decided to be an entrepreneur. I decided to follow a passion. I decided to build something of my own. And the result, 2 years later? Debt. A ruined credit score. Living in a tiny apartment where the sun barely reached. And worst of all, 0 visible results to show for it. I walked into the house. The smell of pot roast and rosemary filled my nostrils. My mother was in the kitchen. My father, in the living room, watching the news. My siblings and cousins, all talking loudly, laughing. They were talking about John's promotion, about Mary's new car, about Peter's trip to Disney. I sat at the end of the table. That spot that's left over. I felt like a ghost. I was there physically, but my soul wanted to be anywhere else. I tried to shrink into the chair, to become invisible, hoping no one would notice my presence and, consequently, my failure. Dinner was served. Porcelain plates clattering, silverware tinkling. The sound of normality. But normality, for someone who is rock bottom, sounds like arrogance. Every laugh felt like a mockery. Every success story felt like a stab at my incompetence. I was just picking at my food, pushing potatoes from one side to the other, when the silence fell. That silence I mentioned at the beginning. The conversation stopped, and I felt the eyes turn to me. My uncle, with his mouth full and his usual lack of tact, asked, "So, kid, how about that business of yours? Made the first million yet, or are you going back to college next year?" Some laughed. A nervous, stifled laugh. I felt my face burn. The blood rushed to my ears. I tried to smile, tried to give an evasive answer. "It's going, Uncle. Things take time. It's a building process." "Time," my father murmured, without taking his eyes off his plate. 2 years is a lot of time, son." The air grew thin. I felt my heart beating in my throat. I was about to defend my point of view, to talk about resilience, about the learning curve, about how great empires weren't built overnight. I opened my mouth to speak, but that was when my mother intervened. Part 2. The sentence. Minutes 7 to 1500 hours. She didn't shout. My mother was never one to shout. She placed the salad bowl on the table delicately. She wiped her hands on the dish towel. She looked at my uncle as if asking him to stop, but then she looked at me. You know that look from a mother? Not of love, of disappointment. That look that says, "I failed you because I didn't teach you to be realistic." It's a look that hurts more than a slap in the face. She sighed deeply, a tired sigh, heavy with sleepless nights worrying about me. And then, with a calm, sweet, and terrible voice, she said, "Son, please, stop justifying yourself. Look at this table. Look at your brothers. Look at the life they have built. We love you, but we need to be honest with you, since you refuse to be honest with yourself." She paused. The clock on the wall went tick-tock, tick-tock. It felt like a countdown to my emotional execution. You don't have the profile for this. You are suffering, you are thin, you are in debt. Accept reality. This isn't your place. The sentence hung over the table like a toxic cloud. This isn't your place. She wasn't kicking me out of the physical chair. She was kicking me out of the possibility of greatness. She was saying that my place was in mediocrity, that my place was in the unemployment line, or in an office stamping paper from 9 to 5, hating my life, but safe. She was defining my ceiling. I looked around, hoping someone would defend me, that my father would say, "Let the boy try," that my brother would say, "He's smart, he'll make it." But no, everyone looked at their plate or at me with that look of "she's right, accept it." Shame is a corrosive feeling. It starts in the stomach and rises like acid. In that moment, I felt like a 5-year-old child being scolded. But I was 27. I didn't argue. What could I say? My results, or lack thereof, proved her right. You can't argue with facts, they say. And the facts were I was broke. I pushed the chair back. The sound of it dragging on the floor was loud, aggressive. I stood up, grabbed my jacket from the back of the chair. "I think I lost my appetite," I said. My voice came out shaky, cracking. "Don't be dramatic, sit down," my father said. "It's not drama," I replied, looking into my mother's eyes for the last time that night. "You said this isn't my place. Maybe you're right." I walked out. I slammed the front door, not with force, but with firmness. Got into my old car. It took a while to start, as if it wanted to prolong my humiliation. But it started. As I drove back to my dark apartment, tears streamed down. Tears of rage. Tears of helplessness. The phrase echoed on a loop in my head, "This isn't your place. This isn't your place." What do you do when the person who should believe in you more than anyone throws in the towel? What do you do when the world confirms your greatest fear, that you are a fraud? I got home, threw my keys on the table, and looked at myself in the bathroom mirror. Deep circles under my eyes. Messy hair. Old shirt. I looked at that reflection, and for the first time, I agreed with her. That guy in the mirror. That loser. Indeed, his place wasn't at the winner's table. But that's when something broke inside me. And when I say broke, it wasn't something bad. It was like breaking a shell. Like breaking a cast that limited my movement. The rage dried the tears, and gave way to an absolute coldness. I made a pact with the reflection in the mirror that night. She's right. That isn't my place. Because my place is much, much bigger than that dinner table. Motivation is like a warm bath. It feels good, but it wears off quickly. What happened to me that night wasn't motivation. It was transformation through trauma. Rejection, when channeled correctly, is the most potent fuel that exists in human nature. In the following days, I entered what the ancient Stoics or modern biohackers would call monk mode or deep work. I call it war mode. I analyzed my life with brutality. Why? Why didn't I have results? I was unfocused that I sought approval, that I worked hard, but I didn't work smart, that I was afraid to sell, afraid to expose myself. I picked up my phone, left every WhatsApp group that wasn't work-related, deleted Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, canceled Netflix, canceled weekend outings, told the few friends remaining, "I'm focused on a project, I'm going to disappear for a few months. Don't take it personally." Loneliness knocked on the door on the third day. And it knocked hard. We are social beings. We want to belong. When you voluntarily isolate yourself to build something, your brain panics. It screams, "You're going to die alone." I remember a Friday night, 2 weeks after the dinner. I was eating instant noodles, sitting on the floor, because I had sold the sofa to pay for a specialization course. I heard the sound of the city outside, people laughing, cars passing, life happening, and me there locked in. My mother's voice returned, "This isn't your place." And I replied, talking to myself in the room, "Not yet. But it will be." I stopped trying to prove something to them and started trying to be someone for myself. I understood that success isn't an event, it's a habit. I started waking up at 4:30 a.m. Not because it's fancy or a guru thing, but because at 4:30 a.m. the world is silent. No one calls you. No one demands anything from you. It's just you and your purpose. I studied for 2 hours before starting to work. I devoured books on sales, on management, on human psychology. I wasn't playing entrepreneur anymore. I was training like an Olympic athlete. You know the difference between the amateur and the professional? The amateur works when he feels inspired. The professional works even when he's sick, sad, tired, or unmotivated. I became a professional of my own life. It was 6 months. 6 months without going to a single family dinner. My mother called. "Son, you disappeared. Is everything okay?" I answered briefly, "I'm working, Mom. Everything is great. Love you." And hung up. I couldn't go back there. Not yet. I couldn't go back as the same man. I would only go back when my presence needed no justification. During this period, I failed. Launched a campaign that went wrong. Lost the little money I had invested. Cried in anger over the keyboard. But the difference now was that I didn't stop. I fell, analyzed the mistake, adjusted the route, and continued. Failure stopped being a stop sign and became a turn right sign. Part 4. The Silent Climb. Minutes 2200 hours. 30:00. And then it happened. It wasn't a miracle. It wasn't luck. It was the compound effect. The first big sale came in. I remember the sound of the notification on the phone. The amount was more than my father earned in 3 months of work. I looked at the screen in disbelief. I didn't go out to celebrate. I didn't buy champagne. I just closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and whispered, "Thank you," and went back to work. That sale pulled another, and another. I started refining my method, started scaling. Real money started coming in. I cleared my name, paid off the debts, moved apartments, bought clothes that fit well, that projected the image of who I had become. But the most interesting thing wasn't the material change. It was the internal change. The anxiety disappeared. The need for approval disappeared. When you know what you are capable of doing, you don't need anyone to tell you congratulations. Internal validation is bulletproof. I remember meeting an old colleague on the street. He looked me up and down, saw my watch, saw my posture, and asked, "Man, what happened to you? You seem different." Taller, I don't know. I wasn't taller. I was just carrying the weight of responsibility and success. I had assumed my place in the world. 2 years passed since that fateful dinner. 2 years of silent building. I didn't post photos of trips, or cars, or watches. The truly rich are discreet. The noise is made by the empty wagon. My business had become a reference in the niche. I had employees. I had geographical freedom. I had time freedom. And then, the invitation arrived. My father's 60th birthday. A milestone. My mother called me. "Son, it's going to be a special dinner. Everyone will be here. Please come." Her voice had a tone of hesitation. She was afraid I would refuse. She knew something had changed, even without knowing the details. I looked at my calendar. I could be in Paris. I could be in New York. But I knew I had a pending appointment with the past. "I'll be there, Mom. You can set my place at the table." I arrived at my parents' house. The same street. The same fine drizzle of November, oddly enough. But the car wasn't the same. I parked my new car. It wasn't a car to show off. It was a machine of German engineering, sober, black, powerful. I turned off the engine. Stayed those same 10 minutes in silence inside the car, but now the feeling was the opposite. Before it was fear. Now it was peace. I looked at myself in the rearview mirror. I saw a man, not a scared boy. I walked into the house. The scene was almost identical to 2 years ago. The smell of roast. The family gathered. But when I walked through the door, the atmosphere changed. You know when the leader walks into the room? Nothing needs to be said. The energy changes. My cousin stopped talking. My uncle, the one with the jokes, straightened up on the sofa. I greeted everyone. A firm hug eye to eye. No forced smiles of someone trying to please, but with the genuine smile of someone who is happy with themselves. "Happy birthday, Dad." I handed him the gift. It wasn't something expensive to show off. It was something meaningful, an experience he dreamed of having. He opened it, and his eyes shined. We went to the table. I sat in the same chair. At the end. But now, that chair didn't feel like the leftover spot. It felt like the head of the table. Dinner went on. No one made jokes about little projects. The respect was palpable. The questions changed. "How is the market, cousin? I saw your company was featured in that article. What do you think I should do with my investment?" They knew. Success speaks a universal language that needs no translation. I answered calmly, with generosity. There was no revenge in my heart. Revenge is the desire to see the other suffer. I didn't want them to suffer. I just wanted them to see. And they saw. At the end of dinner, while coffee was being served, my mother touched my arm. The house was full, noisy, but we created a bubble of silence between the two of us. She looked at me, eyes watering. She saw the watch on my wrist, saw the quality of my clothes, but mostly, she saw the tranquility on my face. She squeezed my hand and whispered, almost inaudibly, "I'm sorry for what I said that day. I was just afraid you would suffer. I didn't know. I didn't know you were capable of flying so high." I smiled, placed my hand over hers. "Mom, don't apologize. You were right." She frowned, confused. "What do you mean?" "You said that wasn't my place. And you were absolutely right. That place of defeat, of doubt, of scarcity, that wasn't my place. I needed to hear that from your mouth, to have the courage to build my true place." She smiled, a tear rolled down. And there, at that dinner, the cycle closed. Success didn't scream. It just smiled and drank coffee. Tone shift, now speaking directly to the listener. Firm voice, commanding. "Now I want to talk to you. Look at me. Or better, look inside yourself right now. Where are you sitting today at the table of life? Are you the joke of the dinner? Are you the dreamer, cousin no one takes seriously? Have you been hearing phrases like, get real, get a normal job, this isn't for you, this isn't your place? I know how it hurts. I know what it's like to feel that cold blade of rejection cutting your self-esteem. But I am here, 40 minutes after starting this story, to tell you the most liberating truth you will hear this year. They are right. This place where you are right now, this place of debt, of anxiety, of counting coins, of fear of the future, of humiliation. This is definitely not your place. You were not created to live on crumbs. You were not created to sit at the end of a table and lower your head. But understand one thing, no one is going to invite you to sit at the head of the table. No one is going to pull out the chair for you. You have to build your own table. The anger you feel, use it. The sadness, use it. Their doubt, use it. Take every brick they threw at you and build your castle. But attention, don't try to do this alone, banging your head against the wall. Trying is kicking the air. You need strategy. You need method. It took me 2 years of making mistakes to find the way. You don't have 2 years to waste. The world is changing too fast. Success left clues. I mapped those clues. I transformed my pain, my war mode, my sales strategies, mindset, and management into a clear path. If you are tired of being a spectator of others' victory, if you want the silence of respect to take over the room when you walk in next Christmas, at the next dinner, you need to make a decision now. It's not about money. It's about dignity. It's about looking in the mirror and being proud of the man or woman staring back. I prepared something for you. It's not a magic pill, because that doesn't exist. It's a map. The map out of rock bottom to the top of the mountain. I want to be the mentor I didn't have on that rainy Thursday. Down below, in the description, or the button on the screen, there is a link. That link is the exit door from the table of the mediocre. By clicking on it, you aren't buying a course. You are buying your new identity. You are buying the right to tell the world, I have arrived. Don't leave it for tomorrow. The pain of discipline weighs ounces, but the pain of regret weighs tons. And I refuse to let you carry the weight of regret. Click the link now. Let's build your place. The place you deserve. Dinner is over. It's time to work. I'll see you on the other side, at the winner's table. Until then,